A notice for COMM water customers, changes ahead for Pilot House, and Finance Director Mark Milne explains fund balance on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, August 22nd, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. A drinking water notice has been issued to all users of the Centerville, Osterville, Marston's Mills Water Department. On August 15th, a raw water sample taken from the Hayden 18 well tested positive for E. coli. Samples from the distribution system did not detect any contaminants. Subsequent samples from that well did not contain any contaminants as well. But as a precaution, the well has been taken offline. It'll remain offline while precautionary measures are performed. If you have any questions, you can go to commwater.com or call Water Department Superintendent Craig Crocker at 508-428-6691. Paul Hebert runs Housing for All. He also serves as chair of the Barnstable Housing Committee. At this week's meeting, Hebert told the group that Housing for All plans to take over operation of the Pilot House. Pilot House provides housing and support to homeless people suffering from drug or alcohol abuse. It is a sober house. Residents are tested daily. Hebert explains the plan as well as his hopes for increasing sober housing in our community.
Housing for All Corporation is going to transition the Pilot House program into the Housing for All, we call it the family of programs right now. And it's simply because it's not unusual that the Community Action Committee, if those of you who remember Dick Bigos, they would create various programs, and then they would what we called spin off into other areas. So CAC's board of directors made it very, very clear that they were going to spin Pilot House off.
To who's going to manage it?
We're going to manage it.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wonderful.
Yes, and so the idea was, at first, when I heard that it needed another leadership, I had suggested the Duffy Health Center because they're very much involved in that. I also recommended Housing Assistance Corporation, and I recommended Gosnold, or a collaborative effort between those three.
Yeah.
For whatever the reasons, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I also said that if nobody else stepped forward, then Housing for All would have to seriously consider doing that. And we were the last people standing, so apparently that kind of made that clear.
Well, and you're specific to that.
We are specific to that. It is also part of a continuum of care.
Yeah,
so,
I also think that the other groups they have other central focuses.
Yes.
Health and.
Yeah. So I think that it's a good match, and
works very well.
Tied to that is also because it's now a better continuum of care, people transitioning from one program into one of our other programs. We are also looking at acquiring some other housing within Cape Cod that will serve as drug and alcohol-free workforce housing. And and I believe that within the next 18 months, we're going to see RFPs coming out of Boston to help with the whole issue of addiction. And it's not the licensing of drug and alcohol-free housing, it is the helping to manage it and get to cutting-edge management, whether you're for-profit or not-for-profit, how to manage these well, how to fit into the community.
And provide certain services. I
yes.
think. Yeah. Is this called sober housing, basically?
It's sober housing, yeah. But it's been reviewed by the Bureau of Substance Abuse in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, reported to the General Court, and there's no intent to license these. The extra oomph, if you want, that's coming out of this is the federal government has made it very, very clear that alcohol and drug-free housing is part of fair market, affordable housing.
Yeah.
And what they have literally said to any community is to do nothing negative to prevent these from going. Use your codes.
Yeah.
Use your zoning. Make sure everybody is safe for public safety. Past that, any attempt on any town, community or city to block alcohol and drug-free housing will take serious consequences from the federal government's perspective.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're also going to back that up with some education, some management skills specific to these projects, and most probably some funding will come down the road for it. So I'm very, very excited about the potential.
Housing for All will take over the operation at the end of the month. Pilot House is located on Yarmouth Road in Hyannis. Well, there's no question municipal finance can be tricky to navigate. Barnstable's Director of Finance, Mark Milne, says his department implemented an accounting change in fiscal 2011 in regards to fund balance classifications. Milne explains that the fund balance is the difference between a town's assets and liabilities, but it doesn't necessarily mean the town has money to burn.
For example, in the town of Barnstable, June 30th, 2011 financial statements, there's $82 million of fund balance in our governmental funds. Now, to break that down further, about $10 million of that is non-spendable, which can't be touched. It's restricted for the particular purpose for which it was gifted to the town for, and this is mostly our trust funds. And then there's another $40 million, I think, $40 to $45 million that's restricted for certain things. For example, school grants. We receive millions of dollars in school grants every year. The grants run on a September 1st to August 31st basis, which crosses our fiscal year end. So at the end of our fiscal year, we have a few $1 million of unexpended grant funds, which will be completely expended by August 31st, or 2 months after the fiscal year close. So that's restricted for that particular purpose. So we have millions of dollars of restricted fund balance that has to be spent in accordance with outside regulations. We're gifted this money, or we're granted this money from another agency. It has to be spent for a particular purpose, so that's restricted. We also have what's called assigned fund balance. We have millions of dollars of assigned fund balance, and principally what that is those are internal designations, not by any outside agency, but internally. And most of it is money that has been encumbered under contracts with various vendors by town departments for specific goods or services at the end of the fiscal year for which they had not received an invoice for yet. So that's all assigned to those particular activities, and the bills will be coming in, and we'll be paying those bills off using that fund balance. And then there's the very last category, which is really the one that shows, that illustrates what the community's liquidity is, and that's called unassigned fund balance. And that's the portion of the fund balance which can be used for any legal purpose, which is good for which is really where we start with our budget planning for fiscal year 2014, is we take a look at, well, what's our unassigned fund balance, and what would be an appropriate way to use that, or a piece of that, going forward into developing our 2014 budget.
Milne says Barnstable's fund balance has increased over the past 10 years. The 15th annual Kids Day was held today at Barnstable High School. Kids of all ages had a chance to visit with police and fire officials, check out trucks, police cars, and ambulances, get free hot dogs, and had a chance to play in foam. Hyannis Deputy Fire Chief Dean Melanson told us the day is fun and educational.
It's basically a time to celebrate emergency services with the kids in the area today and their parents, and expose them to some of the different things that emergency services does for them, and also have a fun time. So there'll be some food and some giveaways. So we're going to show them a variety of different things that we do and services that they can expect. And the nice part is they also get to meet the police officers, the EMTs, and the firefighters under non-stressful conditions, so that they can understand that we're not to be afraid of, and that we can be trusted. So if and when an emergency should occur, they'll have a little bit more understanding of what's going to happen.
The annual Kids Day was held today at Barnstable High School. We'll have more from today's event on tomorrow's episode of Barnstable Today. The Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee will consider a renewable energy project tonight. On the agenda for this evening's meeting is a request from a homeowner on Lombard Avenue in West Barnstable to install solar panels on the roof of a barn on the property. The OKH committee meets at 6:30 tonight in the West Barnstable Community Building. Well, if you've ever wondered how heavy a violin is, or where to properly position your hands when playing the instrument, you can get up close and personal with string and percussion instruments tomorrow during the musical petting zoo at the Osterville Public Library. Prospective students can see, hear, and touch the instruments they would like to experiment with. The program begins at 4 o'clock. And Art Visits Nature out at Sandy Neck this fall. Artists in all disciplines are invited to take a day or overnight excursion to the Halfway House. It's a cottage located in the middle of the dunes. Marsh and Water on Friday, September 21st. Details and applications for the program are available online at highartsdistrict.com. That program is made possible with a partnership between the town, Sandy Neck Beach, and the Cape Cod Art Association. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.